Hey Cretins, we're doing something a little different today, something I've been actually putting off for a little while now, and I'm really nervous about doing this, but it's something that needs to be done, and it involves that guy. We're going to fix the Cretins Guild Championship. Alright, now right off the bat, I guess it'd be good to get into a little backstory behind the championship belt if you haven't been watching any of our Nerdernauts for the last, 2 years now. This guy is beautiful. This is our championship belt. We got it in 2017. It represents everything about the Cretins that we absolutely love. Let's just start all the way down here at the end. Obviously, this is a butcher chart of a pig because we're big fans of barbecue. This right here is the Indian test pattern. I love how this turned out with the golden etching, and even the Indian himself looks really good up close. This is to represent both Jay, Corey, and I have all had a history in some form of broadcasting of some way. So we thought the Indian head test pattern was a really good representation of that. Jumping over to the other side here, we're big gamers. We love to game, like board games and also the video games. I also love the detail on how this came out. And you can see focusing in on the controller, it looks spectacular. There's no in particular reason why we went with the Super Nintendo controller, mostly because aside from the regular NES controller, it's the most iconic. That's debatable, but we decided to go with the NES because it had the better collection of games. And then finally, the main plate. You can see there's some nice stitching here in the background. And then this right here is black paint on top of the gold underlay. So all this, the championship text you see here, it's actually risen above this black field. This is obviously Luchador, indicating our fan of pro wrestling and Luchador in particular. Tiki, this design was donated to me by Tiki Tony himself. I thank him every chance I get for that. And the Hatbox Ghost, even though it's not in Walt Disney World, it does represent our love for the for both Disney and the Haunted Mansion ride. So as you can probably notice by looking around, this guy is really fancy. This championship is made by Pro-Am Belts, and you can see they've included a number of these red ruby studs. Some of these are screws to keep the plate onto the leather belt itself. One day I might have the strap redone. I'm very happy with the leather material, and it's aging pretty well. It's holding up to the amount of times it's been moved around the country. The underside has a felt finish, and there's some, let's flip it over. You can actually see some of the screws right here. And I got some, some dirt, but ignore that. The screws for this plate, there's 4 of them there, and they line up with these red rubies. I've had a couple of these red rubies get knocked off, chipped off, or whatever. I just took some really strong adhesive and put them right back on. What we are going to fix today, and you probably noticed it earlier, is we have some spots where the black paint has chipped off. And what I'm going to do is, I reached out to Pro-Am Belts and I asked them, what's the best way to fix that? I'm not seeing any other chips, so that makes me happy. So it's just over here, both sides of the Luchador, and then a little bit here. Not seeing anything else anywhere, so that's good. I want to take really good care of this thing, so we're going to try and fix it as best we can. After I reached out to Pro-Am Belts, they suggested I get some of this one-shot letter enamel black paint. I don't know why Amazon put a label right over the logo for this paint company. I'd never used it before, so I'm going to very, very carefully go over the directions and see what my next step is. As you can see, I have my one-shot paint here. This is an 8-ounce can of the black paint. And the directions on the back just, they scream, do not use. Because there's all kinds of, this is flammable, don't smoke around this, don't breathe around it, don't do anything. But this is something that needs to be done, so I'm going to try and be just as careful as I possibly can be. This can is like a traditional paint can where you just gotta plop it open very nice and slowly. Alright, so what do we got here? Okay, that is incredibly thick black paint. I have a very fine tuned brush that I'm just going to make the smallest of dabs. Dab. I'm not really dab. Alright, I can smell from here the fumes. It's pretty powerful, but unfortunately I have to get right over it to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to move this can a little further in. Maybe, you know what, I don't want to get right on top. So I'm using this great coaster given to me by Ocho for his Drunk Discussions podcast. And I'm going to touch up these spots. Let's see what we get now. I am super nervous about this because I really don't want anything to go wrong. Alright, first little spot. Just lightly tapping. Just a slight little brush. It's not going to be as smooth as I would hope so, but it's going to be better than the giant glaring chips of gold paint that we have. Okay, so far so good. It doesn't look too bad. Alright, let's go for the next little set of chips. Alright, good. Whew, alright, this is going nice and smoothly. This is going really, really well. See if I can brush those out to make it look less like black whiteout has been applied. It's not too bad. It's not awful. Now we have just the tiny little chips right here to do. Okay. This is, ooh, man. I'm just trying to be as gentle as I can. Alright. Now, if you look at it a particular way, you can see how the light bouncing off some of the spots. You can clearly make it out, but you know, it all depends on the light you're in. In some cases, I don't like, from where I'm sitting right now, which is I'm sitting at like about a 45-degree angle looking at it from underneath, and I can't see a thing. It looks perfect. If I get right on top of it, I can see it a little bit, but man, I've got to be like right on top of it to see it. It's going to be very hard to notice. Okay, so we're done with this. Let's get the lid back on our paint so nothing happens to it again. I'm going to hammer that shut. Let's get the paint away. There we go. Here it is close up with this camera. You can see, you know, if I come over from this angle just a little bit, you can see it bouncing off the light. You can hardly see it at all there. And right here is where the other one was. It's very, very hard to notice. But hey, if you ever want to know about imperfections in our championship belt, that's them. Let's get that out. Our championship belt has been restored back to its former glory. So that's it. The belt looks almost as good as the day we got it. It's back to its former glory. And actually, as of right now, this guy is vacant. It has no championship holder. So, Jay suggested between Corey, myself, and I, we have some kind of competition. And they wanted me to pick the competition. So I am going to suggest that Corey, Jay, and I have a Smash Brothers Ultimate Brawl for the championship. Until then, guys, I want to say thank you for watching. Go ahead, subscribe, like, and do all that stuff. You know what to do. And I also want to say welcome to the guild.